Hi guys, Luton here, and I'm back for you with some more Battlefield 4 breakdown information from day 3 of the live stream event at Gamescom. And these are my rough notes that I've made, so I'm just going to run through in no particular order. And also just to say, I've had my video with Level Cap, our regular series on the level, come out today. We haven't done a video for a while because there hasn't been much to talk of lately, but now back with Battlefield 4 we've got a ton of stuff going on, so be sure to go and check that video out. We've got a lot of sort of discussion there, and we're going to have another one coming up very soon in the next week or so. Be sure to stay tuned for that. Right, so going on, let's start off. Comma rows. It's going to allow you again to request supplies or take an objective or vehicle, etc., so you can be using that as we have done before. There was an interesting thing they talked a little bit about, sort of the COC or chain of command, the idea that you would have a commander and he could give orders down to the squad leader gives orders down to the players, and very much like kind of Battlefield 2 where we had that kind of COC situation and people could give orders, etc. Now I don't know how well that's going to be interpreted in the sort of where we are in 2013, whether or not people are going to sort of be on board with that. It may be a really positive thing that people kind of like, but interested to hear what you guys think about that. Is that going to really work? Are people going to be sort of obeying squad leader commands? It has been said as well that you can accept or deny, so I'm assuming that the commander would sort of issue an order, the squad leader would designate it, and then if the squad accepted, the commander can see, okay, yeah, that squad's going to do it. I assume the reason you would have to accept or deny is because if you deny and say, no, we're not doing that, the commander can look for somebody else to take on that role. But again, that's just my own speculation. So there's a couple of sort of bullet point things here and there as well. Can you command across radio commands for squad and commander? Apparently yes, that's where the voice up is going to be focused. The voice up or the voice of a network is going to be within squads. That's how they primarily wanted it. They don't want it to be just sort of open mic, although you can do that in Battlefield 3 on console, so I don't know whether there's going to be an option to kind of have public over like the whole of the team as well as squads. So in the on the console you could do that as an option, so I don't know, that it seems likely that it'll be kind of very similar to what we have on consoles. Can the enemy hear you when they're close to you? Some FPS games will do it so that, basically if you're talking on the mic and it's on the voice of a network, if you get near to an enemy they can hear you. This was confirmed today. No, that's not going to happen in Battlefield anyway, but it's a great feature, I gotta tell you. It was in Killzone, it's been in some other games as well, and it's like you kind of, you're chatting and all of a sudden you hear these voices, you're like, what the hell is that? It's the enemy, and you can hear them next to you. Really, really like that feature. I can't help but feel it would have been a great one to have in Battlefield, but it's not going to be appearing. Next generation consoles, this is some information. Next generation consoles, they will run 1080p and 60 frames per second. This was confirmed on the stream and also by Jack Frags. Now I've got to tell you, I also saw an article in IGN today, and one of their guys, their tech guys there, was talking about how he got hands-on with some, I think it was the PlayStation 4 model, and he was saying that he was extremely unimpressed with the graphics on the PlayStation, but it's worth remembering that we're still not even in beta right now, we're still in the alpha, and there's definitely the possibility that they're going to be working on the builds there, but on the other hand, who's to say that how much they've had to compress it down in order to get it to function on those systems in order to get the 1080 and the 60 FPS. That 1080p, again, remember, is upscaled. Next one up was sun glare. Is it as bad as in Battlefield 3? No, apparently it's less intense, and also more critically, the sun has been positioned, if you can do this, the sun has been repositioned so that it doesn't interfere as much with your gameplay. I think what they're saying is, like, if you have the sun higher in the sky, then it's less likely. I mean, although as I speak, you can see the sun bright here. The higher it is, obviously it's going to interfere less rather than have it on the horizon or whatever, so it doesn't catch your eye so much. And I think, but they are aware of it, and it apparently has been sort of less of an effect. But again, maybe wait until you actually get in game to find that one out. Okay, next up, a lot of people have been asking, is there a smoke grenade in the game? Yes, there is. There's an M18 smoke grenade instead of a frag, that's confirmed. There's also some other grenades, flashbang, incendiary, and the hand flare. So a couple of different things. Not sure what purpose the hand flare serves, whether it's just a designation tool or something like that, but flares can often look pretty awesome in game anyway. You set one off and get all sorts of crazy light going on there, so I kind of like the idea of that. Theatre recording mode. We have sort of talked about this before, but yeah, there will be no theatre record mode in the next gen consoles or for the PC, so that's right out. Kill cam, there was a little bit of talk about kill cam today on the stream, and they were talking about how that's going to function. Now this it sounds hugely, overpowered to me, but anyway, apparently when you get killed, and again this is going to be something we need to really sort of see from gameplay, but when you get killed, it sort of zooms in towards the direction of the player who killed you, and then also highlights them in orange, especially if they're behind walls or cover or something. So it really is kind of like properly highlighting where the enemy are. Snipers are probably going to really dislike that, but again, this is one of these things, all these things are subject to change, and we'll just have to see how it progresses, but that's what we heard today anyway. Two-seated jets in Battlefield 4, that's also been dismissed. There will be no two-seater jets in Battlefield 4, it's just a single as we've seen up till now. Back with the numbers again, a lot of people still asking about 64 players and how that's going to work in terms of numbers. Well, basically what they came out today and said was the way it's going to work, and I mentioned this previously as well, but just to kind of keep people keep asking, so I'm going to keep replying. Basically, it's going to be 64 players, as they have said, alright, plus obviously 2 commanders on top, so it's 66 if you want to get sort of really technical. But basically the way the 64 is going to work, 2 teams 32, alright, and the way you're going to have to do it is like this: 4 squads of 5, alright, and then you could have a couple of squads of 4, you have like 3 squads of 4 or something, so that's your 12, right, so that's your 32. But obviously there's different ways of making up the numbers, alright, you could have more squads of 5 and a slightly smaller squad, or you could have more squads of 4, you could have it distributed however you want to do, but essentially their sort of reply to how is it going to be is just, well, some squads always have less. I'm not so sure if I'm on board with this, but at the end of the day that's how they can do it. It seems to me it would have made a lot more sense to just scale it back a little bit. They have said as well that 64 is the max, they won't go to 70, but it seems to me like surely they could have just removed 2 from each team, and then you've got 30, and then you've got 5 squads, you've got 6 squads of 5, so problem solved. I think that would have been surely a better solution. And then if you're running with 62 instead of 64, well, it's just going to have a slight impact on the game. It doesn't really affect it that much, plus it means that everybody gets full squads all the time, so that's the way I would have gone anyway. But alright, let's move on. Colorblind support in Battlefield 4, will this be there? Absolutely, colorblind support will be in Battlefield 4, it's confirmed today. Sniper glare, will there be sniper glare in Battlefield 4? Yes, there will be sniper glare, and Corey Dunn was testing this out today, he's one of the main casters for Battlefield 4. He was testing out the scope glint, and he said that you could see the scope glint from a long range distance. Didn't give a specific distance, but it said it was very visible from long range, so scope glint still in Battlefield 4. Snipers no doubt will be supremely happy about that. Battle packs, we didn't get so much more information about battle packs. It's going to be 12, give you more camos and other bits and pieces. A lot of people asking about battle packs and what we're going to see in the DLCs, etc. Come on guys, seriously, they're not going to give this information out right now. We still haven't even heard about how many of the vanilla maps there are. You think they're going to be giving you information about what DLCs? I mean, they've named the DLCs. I think that's even more information than I would have expected at this point in time. So, I mean, Christ, we're not even into the beta and people want to hear about like complete details of DLCs. It's not going to happen, so I think we need to put a pin in that one. There's not going to be any more information coming out on that as far as I'm concerned. Air vehicles, they now seem to have limited flares available, meaning they cannot endlessly defend themselves. This was something that was noted, I saw today, and basically it was a screenshot of a helicopter and the UI on HUD, and you could see clearly that where the icon was, it sort of designated a quantity of flare. So it very much seems that helicopters and probably jets as well, any kind of air vehicle, are going to have limited flares. Interestingly, I haven't seen this, but I wonder whether there's a possibility that, for example, vehicles would have limited smoke, because as you know right now with specialization for smoke on tanks and stuff like that to sort of remove locks from javelins, I wonder whether they're going to make that a quantity as well, so that tanks can't endlessly defend themselves against javelin attacks. Gotta say, I don't know if I would think that was necessarily a bad thing, because it can be a bit of a pain in the ass when you have a tank sitting far away and they just literally just sit there and take it, constantly remove your locks all the time. There is going to be some other sort of equipment that can help with that kind of lock, but we'll get into that on another video. Okay, now this was from Patrick Bach, and some more info about a lot of different things. Commander, what is it going to be in? What game modes is Commander going to be in? Well, Commander has been said to be in Rush, Obliteration and Conquest, but not TDM and some of those smaller game modes, which makes a lot of sense really. Why would you want that? A lot of people were asking, saying before, I remember about, how would it work in TDM? It would be kind of funny. But yeah, it's going to be in those main game modes. But interestingly as well, with Commander, a question was asked, is Commander mode mandatory? Like, is it set, built into the game and you can't remove it? No, it is not mandatory. And it was quoted as saying, we don't want to force things on players. Commander can be turned off on server settings. So when you have your own rented server, if you don't want to run Commander, you can turn it off. You will not have to have it on there. Obviously, it means that you're limited in certain things. You won't be able to do certain things in the game, but it means that you do have that option to turn it off if you don't want to. A lot of people asking about realism. This was a bit of a question from people in the public saying about sort of, could we do this, could we do that in the game? And I see this on my comments on my videos as well, people discussing realism. And we talked about this in the past. I've had this discussion about realism many times, about sort of different things, how far do you go with it? Well, Patrick Bark's answer was yes, we could make it more realistic, but then it wouldn't be so fun. And so some things that they can definitely do, they could do it, but they're not going to. So I think that's the other thing. It's a very difficult balance to strike, because you got to remember at the end of the day that people are playing to enjoy themselves. Now there is other games like Armour, which I have play, and I really enjoy that kind of thing, but it's a completely different style of game, and I think striking that borderline balance is really important for them. Next one up, will we see Levolution on all maps? I discussed this with Level Cap, but yes, they're going to be Levolution on all the maps that they can do. They want them to be dynamic, they want them to work together, but they want each unique element in different maps, so they want it to kind of have its own feel, its own characteristic to each map. I discussed it more with Level Cap, so go check out my video there if you want more information and more discussion about Levolution on the maps. Dirt bikes, they're going to be back. They're all but basically confirmed. We've seen it a little bit in a video, but just today they spoke a brief amount on that, and they've kind of pretty much said they're in the game, but we kind of knew that already. Okay, grenades and RPG. This was a rumour that had been flying around for a little while, saying that once you'd run out of grenades and RPG, you couldn't get them from support. You had to get them from a drop or something like that. This is incorrect. This is a false rumour, was squashed today. Grenades and RPG supply as normal, as we always have done. The AC-130, someone was asking about the AC-130, is it still going to function as a power drop point? Yes it is, so AC-130, you can still power drop from there. Customize your HUD, this was a pretty interesting one as well. They've said that you can now scale the size of your HUD to minimize your screen space. This is a really good one for people who have, you play on a nice screen, you want to really maximize that, allows you to see a lot more of what's going on, maybe it just kind of, really helps your experience. You can adjust your HUD now and, push it out to the sides of the screen, so that's a really great one. Okay, and then just into the last couple of little questions here, guys. Commander mode, is it usable on console? Yes, you can use it on console, and you don't have to have a tablet to do so. You can use the standard joypads for Commander on console. You can obviously still use the tablet if you want to. The Commanders, they elaborated a little bit on sort of what it's going to be like for Commander, and they likened it very much to a kind of a tug of war. People trying to, the two commanders fighting against one another, trying to outsmart one another, and they were saying that kind of it's like, you might have functionality like where you have a UAV, but then your other commander will counter with an EMP, and sort of, so it's a playoff against one another. It's kind of like a chess match, each one sort of moving his pieces and trying to outsmart one another. Player clipping, this is another little thing here. Player clipping is where, you'll be lying prone and your legs just go through the wall, because you're sort of, it doesn't recognize the form of your player, so you kind of merge with the wall, and it allows people to get into positions that they really shouldn't be able to camp or, get the drop on others or whatever. So yes, a lot of people have been saying they don't want this. This is something they said DICE are aware of, they are working on. Some people have said they've already seen in game that it does it less in Battlefield 4, but they're definitely aware of it, they're definitely thinking about that one. On the player count, again, I mentioned about this, somebody asked, does Battlefield 4, do they have any intention to go beyond 64? Well, they answered this a little bit more. They said that with all the tools to get people onto the battlefield, they settled for 64 because that's the framework that they want to work within. So more emphasis and effort to use the sort of dynamic elements of Battlefield. The favourite, they said also for players, is often around 40, and they want people to have room to play, not to have it too chaotic. Can't agree more with that. I think that that's definitely the case, and as I say, I think it would have made a lot more sense personally to drop back to 62, and then you could have ensured that you would always be able to have those full 5-man squads. Titan mode, people are asking about Titan mode. It's not going to happen, guys. It's on the list of, Lars said it's on their list of great feedback, but they have no immediate plans, and who knows, they said it may turn up in the future, but I wouldn't count on it for Battlefield 4 anyway, guys. Okay, and then one of the last questions was about China Rising, but again, they got no info on that right now. They said overall it's going to be even more, and they wanted to sort of show that the real theme and setting of that kind of area, the location, many levels for the base game that have not even been revealed or shown yet. So as I say, it's unlikely they're going to be talking about DLCs at this point, and I really think people should stop focusing on the DLCs really right now, because as I say, we haven't even seen a lot of the main content in the game, and really they're not going to, the DLC info is going to be fully locked. They're not going to be giving that out. As I say, we still haven't seen so many maps, so that's coming. Alright guys, so that's my little rundown today, just more information. I'm going to have another one coming up tomorrow when we get day 4 of the stream from Gamescom, so be sure to tune in. It's on twitch.tv/EA. You can join Corey Dunn and Alex Mendez there, and they're going to be talking about the game, getting content, talking about experience, doing some interviews along the way. They're going to be talking to Daniel Matros, and that no doubt would be a great interview. Thanks for watching today guys, hope you've enjoyed. If you have, drop it a little like. I'll be back for some more Battlefield 4 content this week, breakdowns, discussion, analysis, all that good stuff. Keep it here guys, keep it Battlefield 4, stay subscribed, and I'll see you very soon.